check the roll for this evening.
Yes, sir. Reverend Walker?
Here.
Dr. DeVos?
Here.
Ms. Flanagan? Ms. Maddox?
Here.
Mr. Milner?
Here.
Dr. Stanbaugh?
Here.
And Mr. Bates?
Here.
Entertain a motion now to approve this evening's agenda for our meeting.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Those in support of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. Take this opportunity now to welcome those in attendance tonight, members of the central office staff, press, hopefully some staff members that are out here from schools, and any visitors that are with us. We appreciate you taking time to be here with us for this afternoon, this evening's meeting. Mr. Milner, would you please lead us in the invocation for tonight? And following that, Mr. Zayer will deliver the pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, dear Lord, for our being here today. We thank you, dear Lord, for allowing us to live in a country, dear Lord, where we can participate in the process. We pray, dear Lord, that you bless our decisions tonight. Make it the best, dear Lord, for our students, our teachers, our staff, and all support personnel, as well as the parents. Help us, dear Lord, to do thy will. These and all blessings in thy Son's name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under item 2, speakers from the floor, I believe we have none who have signed up in accordance with our policy. So we move to section 3, awards and recognition. I believe Ms. Meeks, Mr. Meeks.
Yes.
Right. You will kind of tell us what we're doing here.
Sure. Well, my name is, I'm going to be presenting the county with an award at the elementary schools for 100% elementary school participation.
Right.
So,
You make that presentation. Do we have some people from individual schools who are going to kind of be recognized as being responsible for us receiving this award, I guess?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We have a representative from each of our elementary schools who participated in the Jump Rope for Heart or Hoops for Heart program. Ms. Mills represents the American Heart Association. So we'd like to ask them to come forward at this time to receive the award and have their picture taken.
Yes, I was going to say that I don't get to present these awards very often, and this is just a huge recognition award to get. Just takes a lot of hard work from all the teachers and the schools to come in together and make the commitment to help engage the kids in learning not to only give back, but also live happy, healthy, and active lives. And so this is an award that I was really proud to get for Henry County Schools, and I know everybody worked incredibly hard to get this. So thank you so much for your support.
Thank you, and thank you for being here, because it means a lot for you to come and recognize us, and all of our school representatives. We appreciate your hard work, and we got to do it again, right?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
And Ms. Mills, I'd like Dr. Cotton's thanks on behalf of the school board. Thank you for coming, and a personal thanks to the representatives from each school who I know are responsible for the interest and enthusiasm that is generated in this particular program. And we're happy to be recognized and awarded for that.
Well, thank you so much for your support. We really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Move on to section 4, the information agenda. The first item, the daily 5, and I believe it's Martha and Dixon is going to tell us about daily 5.
Good evening, Dr. Duvall and members of the board. We're excited to come before you tonight to talk a little bit about the Daily 5 and what we have going on with elementary literacy. I was excited that Crystal came with us tonight to give a teacher's perspective on what's happening in the classroom and what we're doing to help promote literacy in the classroom. This year, all of our elementary schools, grades K through 2, are participating in the Daily 5. And we had the opportunity to have 2 teachers from each of our elementary schools go to Atlanta to see the authors of the Daily 5 and participate in their 2-day workshop. And those teachers, in turn, they're going back and sharing strategies with their faculties and staff to help with the implementation. The authors of the Daily 5 are in this picture. In the top row, the left and the very right are the authors of the Daily 5. So what is it? What is the Daily 5? It's actually a framework that structures our literacy time so that students are able to facilitate and develop lifelong habits of reading, writing, and working, not just with a teacher, but actually doing those things independently. Like I said, they're authors of a book. This framework is written in a book called The Daily 5 by Gail Boucher and John Moser, and it's based on research about what makes children strong readers and writers. John Hattie and other educational researchers talk about the importance of actually practicing reading. So in order to make students better readers and better writers, to develop adequate vocabulary and grammatical competence, we want our students to practice those particular skills. And so the Daily 5 does just that. It gives students the opportunity to have more time in the classroom reading with focused instructional lessons that are smaller but concentrated on those specific skills so that our students actually have that time to practice in the classroom. So how does it work? Basically, students are taught how to pick good fit books for them. So they're picking things that are easy for them to read on their reading level and of the greatest interest to them. So they're actually interested in the books that they're reading, and they're able to choose between 5 centers, if you will, each day. The students work on reading to themselves, they work on writing, they read to someone, they listen to reading, and they do word work. So the students go and choose exactly what they want to do each day, and then that opens the teacher up to actually do an individual instruction with the students. So she has time to go through and work one-on-one and to develop plans with each student to tailor their instruction in order to help them maximize their reading potential in the classroom. So what are the benefits? We talk about this as a framework. What we find with Daily 5 is that students are able to develop those independent skills. They're able to read independently. Their reading stamina increases. They The teachers find it so beneficial because they train their students on the procedures to work through the classroom so that they're able to spend less time managing their classroom and more time for instruction with individual students. The framework is also just that, a framework. There isn't content involved with the Daily Five, so that our curriculum that we've written and our state SOLs fit perfectly into that framework that the Daily Five provides. Also, it's going to help improve our school-wide literacy achievement, and because they are learning how to do these things independently in their reading block, it also transfers to other subjects. So when they go to social studies class, they're able to read and to write and do those things more independently.
The implementation in the classroom, to begin the Daily Five, we first begin with a read aloud. The reason that we do a read aloud is so the students are able to see a good model of reading. A lot of time is devoted to setting expectations for each of the Daily Five areas by using the eye charts. And the eye charts are just expectations that we have in our classrooms of what each of our students are supposed to be doing while they are in the different areas. Students are able to take ownership of that eye chart because they're able to model the correct behavior and the incorrect behavior, so it helps them to be a part of that expectation process. Students are able to choose between the 5 areas while the teacher works with others in the classroom, like Ms. Motley has stated, and I'm able to gain the attention of everyone in the class just by simply ringing my soft little chime, and that's really good for our voices. And we're going to have an example of what it looks like. This is earlier on in the year. Here we have a student who is working on writing, and if they're working on writing, they have a choice between working in their handwriting book or using their creativity to come up with something new. Here I'm conferencing with a student on her writing. We're adding more details to her writing, and the framework allows me to have an opportunity to conference with every child with sometime within that week. And you can see in the rocking chair behind me, I have a student who's reading. She's turning to her page, getting ready. And the students, they don't have a set area to read in or to use their writing skills. They can spread out anywhere in the room, and it also helps with that independence. Another student working in their handwriting book, and that was her choice. He's working on his writing. He works better laying down. And there we have another student who is reading our story for the week. That's just a quick example of a quick glance of the Daily Five in action. The results in my kindergarten classroom last year, my students were able to improve their reading skills, their writing skills, and their spelling skills just by using the Daily Five and having that time every day to practice that. In my second grade class this year, students who previously had the Daily Five last year, they're able to quickly adapt to it. They already know the expectations, and so we can maximize instructional time. Because the Daily Five provides a framework for reading, it's also built on trust between the teacher and the student. And that's one of the things that we say in my classroom: I trust you, you trust me. The teacher is able to work in small groups. I can work one-on-one with students to provide ongoing remediation and to provide enrichment activities. And the students are really developing a true fondness and a love for reading, and I think that's the most important part to the Daily Five.
So in Henry County, our next steps are that, like I said, those teachers who got to go to Atlanta to see the two sisters do the presentations on the Daily 5, they're going to go back and they're sharing with their staffs and planning with their staff so that they're better able to successfully implement this in the classroom. There's another part to the Daily 5 that those two sisters have written called the Cafe, and that actually adds a little bit of the content in. It gives you your comprehension strategies that you might want to work with kids with increasing their vocabulary and fluency and those kind of things. So hopefully our teachers will branch out to pull that in the coming times after they've gotten their framework solidified. We also talk about the possibility of expanding grade levels. Like I said, K through 2 everywhere is using the Daily 5, and hopefully as time goes on it will catch on in the 3rd through 5th grade. Teachers will see the use and benefits of this in their classrooms in the future too. One thing is they do this early in the morning, so if you're ever out in the elementary school early, the first thing in the morning, go in the classrooms and see this. It's amazing to see them all working on different things, but accomplishing goals, whether they be independent or with the teacher with them as well. So it's been a great benefit for our students and for our teachers as well. Do you guys have questions?
Questions? Maybe just a comment. I'm thinking during this, sometimes I think we're evolving into a society where most learn a lot of learning capacity that doesn't require us to do anything but look at the computer, listen to TV, use whatever technology that you may carry in your hand. This actually, they're actually actively doing something.
Yes.
Rather than letting it come, they're having to make it. Do you have, how do the kids, how they receive this? Do they say, oh no, now we got to sit and read for a while, or how do they receive it?
I actually have students who, when I ring the chime to bring them back to the carpet, they are trying to sneak their book back to the carpet so they can continue reading. So they love to read, and I think this is their favorite part of the day.
Right. And the other thought I had while you were talking about writing, tell me about what kind of writing, because some people, I hear people say, well, kids don't know how to write anymore, they just print or whatever. Is it print? It's not really cursive writing.
Well, right now we're doing handwriting. They have a choice between working in their handwriting books to improve their handwriting, or they can use the creative side, and they can actually come up with their own stories. So they have a choice of what they would like to do at this point.
Sounds like a really big problem. Other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, if I can just add something to that. A couple of our elementary schools, I see Teresa Penn in the audience and Mrs. Fulcher is hiding back there. They really started, to implement in their schools, and then as I went around, I've had experience with Daily 5 in the past, and it's a great model. And then as I started to see that success, their colleagues and other teachers started to visit their schools, and really what has happened in a matter of probably a year and a half, maybe, it's spread throughout all of the other schools, and then the teachers who have been involved in the training, I will tell you that as I've visited every elementary school and I go into classrooms, I ask about the Daily 5, and there's so much excitement about it. They, usually when you do professional development, you tend to get a lot of anxiety or concerns, but 100% of the time, teachers almost leap toward me and say, best training I've had, best program, really excited about what it's doing for students and how students are excited about reading and writing. And so I'm very encouraged by it. We set the expectation that all schools implement K through 2. And already I have schools that want to expand to 3rd grade, and I have schools that want to implement Daily 3 math. There's another daily something, right? Daily 3. So we're real excited about the progress, and what's going to be important for us is to really look at the math results for that assessment and other assessments to really see the growth. But already the teachers are saying the students are motivated, excited about reading, and I think that's what you were talking about. So, thank you. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Item 5 on our agenda is the consent agenda. There are about 5 items under that that we can approve as a group, or if any board member would like to pull out any one of those 5 for individual discussion, we can do that.
We approve the consent agenda.
Second. Okay. It's been moved and seconded that the consent agenda as presented in our overall agenda be approved. Those in favor of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed? Item 6, under the consent agenda, approval of updates to certain school board policies on second reading.
Good evening. Yes, sir. The policy revisions that have been proposed to the school board reflect our efforts to bring policies into compliance with new or existing laws and regulations, or they've been revised for editorial reasons. The revisions have been provided to the board in a format showing each change made to the policies. Changes are designated by underlining new language and striking through deleted language. Revisions have been verified for legality by the Virginia School Boards Association or by legal counsel, and they can be found on board docs under the featured tab Policies Under Consideration. The policy revisions are presented as a second reading. It is recommended that the policy revisions be approved as presented.
Are there questions for Ms. Landon regarding these policy revisions? We've had opportunity, I believe, now they were first presented at an earlier meeting. This is the final presentation before they actually approved. Any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve these policy revisions?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve these policy changes.
Second.
Second.
One more opportunity for any questions if we have any. These become official after this. If not, those in favor of this motion, please signify by raising your right hand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter. Section D, appointment of superintendent's designee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have to designate somebody to serve in my absence for required meetings such as our school board meeting, of course. And with the retirement of Mr. House, who served in that role before, I'd like to appoint Mrs. Sandy Strayer for that role. And of course, I didn't think I would need to have to call in that role, but as you know, last May I had to. But there will be times when I am away on business and such, and I have to have a designee in my place. And I'd ask for the board to approve for Mrs. Strayer to serve in that role.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. And we make this motion and act upon it with the understanding that Strayer is all willing to assume this responsibility. A big smile on his face. Those in favor of this motion, signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Section C, award of contract for heating and fuel oil. Mr. Scott.
Yes, sir, Dr. Duvall, members of the school board. RFP was issued soliciting proposals for providing and delivering number 2 fuel oil for 11 of our facilities that are currently using fuel oil. And as part of the RFP, we requested the vendor to supply pricing for fixed and for fluctuating prices. For the past 4 or 5 years, we've been using a fluctuating price with a fixed markup. We had 4 firms that responded to the RFP, and each firm was interviewed, and they were evaluated based on the price, experience, qualifications, and geographic location. And as a result, Petroleum Traders out of Fort Wayne, Indiana was selected as their top-ranked respondent. As part of their response, they had listed that they're going to use local vendors for the delivery. Well, due to, as you well know, fuel oil pricing is pretty volatile as we move around, and it changes on a daily basis. We feel it's in the best interest for Henry County Schools to contract with this group using a fixed price. As of August 26th, when we finalized the paperwork, the price was roughly $3 per gallon. And last year, on an average, we spent roughly $3.15 to $3.20 per gallon. So we're estimating roughly about an $18,000 to $20,000 savings if we go with a fixed pricing when it's locked in. And so it's recommended that we would contract you to the delivery and to provide number 2 fuel oil for Henry County Schools to petroleum traders in the division. And as you can see, based on 85,000 gallons per year, we're estimating roughly $255,000 a year for heating fuel oil.
Questions to Mr. Scott concerning this proposal? I assume that price, you said local vendors are going to deliver this.
According to their response, yes, sir, they're going to use local vendors for delivery to our schools.
Price does include the delivery.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. And I checked it today. We're at 301 today. That's what we are. So.
Motion to approve the contract for heating fuel oil.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept this proposal as presented. Any further discussion? Those in favor of this motion signify by raising your hand. Mr. Scott, just a question aside from this, and I know that we read about natural gas now being cheaper than fuel oil. We don't have the capacity or the availability in our schools to even look at natural gas now.
I think the availability is the big concern on it. That's always obviously something that we keep in the back of our mind whenever a natural gas line's coming nearby. But right now, with where we are with heating fuel oil and natural gas as well, you know, sometimes one tracks further than the other. So it's always something we keep in mind on the usage stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Section D, approval of additional appropriations of the school nutrition budget. Ms. Lawson?
The Virginia Department of Education approved for the fresh fruit and vegetable program for several of our schools $135,047 for Axton Elementary, Campbell Court, Carver, Collinsville Primary, Rich Acres Elementary, and Sandwell Elementary. As we do not include this in our budget because we're not guaranteed to receive it each year, it's recommended that the school board approve an additional appropriation in the amount of $135,047 to the school nutrition budget for the fresh fruit and vegetable program and forward the request to the Board of Supervisors for approval. We do have Marcy Lexa here tonight. If you have any questions that she can answer for you.
We're just glad to get the money. I move we approve. And then in my area of expertise, there's now food.
And we have a motion for approval of this proposal. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. I hear no questions coming from Marcy. So those in favor of this proposal signify by raising your right hand. This one I thought was interesting when I looked at it earlier. So award for contract to provide bag sealing equipment for cafeteria. We're all interested to know what kind of bag sealing equipment.
I have Marcy here again for question. School Nutrition solicited bids for the supply of bag sealer stands and the ongoing supply of food grade bags to use with these sealers. We received responses from 2 vendors, and ServPack Corporation of Florida provided the low bid. The equipment cost was 16.9% lower than the second vendor, and their pricing for bags and supplies for the year represented a 44% savings compared to the second vendor. It's recommended that the bid for purchase of bag sealing equipment and the purchase of food grade bags be awarded to ServPack Corporation of Hollywood, Florida. It's also recommended that the division be authorized to exercise subsequent renewals in accordance with the terms of the contract. And once again, I have Ms. Lexa here if you have questions.
Are there any questions for Ms. Lexa here? What do we use to get? What are we gonna do with this stuff, whatever it is?
Yes, Dr. Vaught and members of the board, the bag sealers will be used for individual servings of fresh fruit and vegetables for the FFVP program, and also for on the serving lines. Currently, for the FFVP program, we're using Ziploc bags, and on the serving lines, we're using a lot of styro for the fruits. So we want to move away from styro, but also when you're using those Ziploc baggies, you not only have to get them open, get the product in it, then they have to zip it closed in order for it to be sealed. This sealer, it's very basic. The little bag stand holds the bag, and the bag is pretty much just open, drop, twist, seal. And it cuts the extra off the end at the same time. There's no electricity involved. It's a very simple system. We'll use it for that. It also has bags that can be used for a medium heat application, and since we're putting the breads separate from the entrees this year and allowing the child to pick them up, we're now putting them in a wet wax bag, and we have to fold that over, and it's not truly sealed, so we're not keeping it as fresh as what we would like. So we can now seal those and put them in the warmer and keep them warm for the serving line, but also keep them fresh at the same time. And the bag is specially made for that product and for that usage so that things don't get sweaty and mushy in them. And they also have a hot bag, which will give us the capability to pre-bag product that we're going to use for the breakfast in the classroom program and for grab and goes. And then we'll be able to heat it the next morning so they can do that prep and have it ready on trays and be ready to put it in, so we don't have to have people arriving at the school so early in the morning to get that stuff ready. And it can actually be heated up to 400 degrees in those bags, and they have little vents for allowing steam to escape. So if you have a breaded product, like our kids are nuts about the little mini hot dogs. They're not hot dogs, but it's a corn dog. It's breaded. That's going to come out nice and crisp, and we can just basically count them out into their breakfast bags, or they can pick them up for their grab and go. And we looked at pricing, and the pricing on their bags is so good that it's better than the Ziploc bags, and almost as good as the brown bags for a grab and go bag. And our cashiers will be able to see the product in the bag, so they don't have to ask to look in the bag when they're passing. So it's going to speed up breakfast lines also.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we're eager to get it in place.
So we can safely assume we're not gonna seal up leftovers.
No, that's not what it's for. That's not what it's for.
Great. Let's see, do we have a motion on that? Did we need a motion? Or did we have a motion?
You know,
Then,
I was waiting for Reverend Arbor.
can we have a motion?
So moved.
So that happened, moved and seconded, and we discussed that one then already.
All right.
Those in favor of this motion signify by raising your hand. Move on to item L, approval of the proposed FY 2016 budget development calendar. Ms. Lawson.
We're bringing it to the board a little earlier than we have in the past. We would like to move our process back a month so that we have more time to prepare the budget and look at things in budgets from the principals. The proposed budget development calendar is being recommended to ensure the input of appropriate personnel and the community into the budget for the 2015-2016 school year, as well as meet the timeline set by the Virginia Code. It's recommended that the budget development calendar and associated activities be considered. Are there any questions on the calendar?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to add something to that. If you look under February 16th, you'll see a to be determined. What I'm trying to work on with Mr. Hall is our joint work session with the two boards. You remember I usually present the budget, challenges and predictions at that meeting to the Board of Supervisors. What we're looking at doing is combining that with our site selection for the proposed school in Collinsville. John Red, maybe do both of those during this meeting. And Mr. Hall and I are working on a date in February. Haven't gotten confirmation as of today, but when I do, we'll adjust that on the calendar. But I just wanted to make sure you were aware as to why that's date that's on their calendar already, but, I hope I'll have a date here within the next week.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this proposed budget development calendar?
Move we approve, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Any further questions, discussion? Not those in favor of this stated motion, signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Move to item 7, Superintendent's report. Dr. Cotton, we'll turn this over to you now.
Thank you. I do have a highlight report that I look forward to each year, and one of the things that we like to do as we start the school year is we like to take a picture of all of our kindergarten students, which represent the class of 2027, if you can believe that. We took a picture of all of our kindergarten students. We sent a picture home with a letter from me welcoming the parents and the students to Henry County Schools, and we also sent some tips for our parents and students to work with to help them be successful during their kindergarten years. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce everyone to the class of 2027.
Tell everybody I'm on my way. New friends and new places to see. With blue skies ahead, yes, I'm on my way. And there's nowhere else that I'd rather be. Tell everybody I'm on my way. I'm loving every step I take. The sun beating down, yes, I'm on my way. And I can't keep this smile off my face. 'Cause there's nothing like
report's included in my, report section here. If the board members have questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
Any questions regarding any of the other sections, receipts and expenditures, energy, facilities, membership? Our membership still looking good?
Yes, sir. We are, I've been providing some updates to you, and I don't recall the exact update today, but I know that we're looking at roughly 150 students over what we budgeted for, so that's a good thing. So we certainly have increased our numbers. That's exciting.
Great.
And we monitor that each day. It changes on a daily basis, but certainly it's good news that our enrollment's higher than we projected.
We'll move on then to, thank you for that report. It's great to see all those smiling faces. Some of them might have been forced a little bit. I love the guy that had on T-shirt that said, "I didn't do it."
I could apply to any grade, probably.
Probably good. We'll move on then to matters from the board. Are there any matters from the board to come forward at this time?
I provided board members with a CDC recommendation about head lice policy, not because I want us to necessarily address the issue of head lice, but to bring to a point that our current health policies regarding some of these things are out of date with current recommendations. And what I'd like to have the board do is discuss asking staff, our nursing staff, to address and bring our policies up to date with current recommendations. This example, our current policy sends students home and doesn't allow them to return until they're free of nits. That's a very outdated policy. The CDC recommendation, which I provided you, says we shouldn't be sending students home, we shouldn't be keeping them out, and it outlines the reasons there. And the American Academy of Pediatrics, American Academy of Family Physicians, and School Nurse, National Association of School Nurses all concur. So there's really no body out there recommending what we do. And again, the purpose of me bringing it up is just to ask staff to bring our policies up to date about this, ringworm, pink eye, things like that.
I guess the way this would be dealt with, Dr. Cotton, would be for your staff to analyze this and bring some kind of recommendation back to us after.
Yes, if the board would like for us to investigate making a change, as Dr. Stanwell is referring to, we have a no-nit policy in Henry County, and there was a survey a couple of years ago where across the state, school divisions were surveyed whether or not they have a no-nit policy. It's about 50-50. But certainly what Dr. Stanwell says, there are recommendations from different health organizations that talk about allowing students with NITs to be in school. But certainly if the board wants us to spend time looking into this, we can do some research, we can provide some recommendations. I do know that in Henry County, I know Dr. Stanwell shared some information with me about a week ago, and we did have a period of time where we allowed students with NITs into school, and of course there were issues during that time which caused us to go back to our current practice. But when I say issues, I mean that the students and the teachers were out of school for issues related to lice, and for some reason at that time it was decided to go back to the no-nit policy, but that's been a while. I want to say that would have been early 90s from the research I've done already. But we can certainly look at the research, we can look at what other school divisions are doing, we can make a recommendation. We were looking at lice, but of course, as you just mentioned, ringworm and pink eye, of course, that would need to be a part of that as well. But it's all depending on what the board would like for us to do, because it's going to, we're going to spend some time pulling some information together, making some recommendations, and going from there.
Anyone want to add?
Since it's our utmost concern to keep the child in school as much as possible, because we can't teach children them if they're not here. I think it behoove us to look into that, because mentioning the number of years that you say 1990, I think we need to relook that, because there's always new information coming out, and anything we can do to maximize the amount of time the child spends in school, I think we're all better off.
Dr. Kyle, have any other information on what the latest statistics are on lice? I know it used to be a serious problem. I know the 4 teachers in elementary school that had it had to disinfect the mats, and it was a due burden on the teachers. So if you can give us any updated information, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, we can provide you with some background information. I want to say that we had 2 nurses that were hired specifically to address lice in Henry County, and that's all that they did. You may be able to speak to that, Mrs. Bennett. So that's how we got to where we are today, but we can certainly provide some.
One of the things that I recall from many, many years ago dealing with is sometimes parents would say, I've heard so-and-so, and I'm not going to send my kid to school until I know that that's not the case. I don't hate to do that, but maybe just, if you...
Well, I think that's one of the biggest challenges is educating the public about this. It's from a medical literature standpoint, it's pretty clear cut that this is not a health risk. There are no ongoing health risks from lice. There are concerns. It's obviously very traumatizing to family. There are a lot of misconceptions about what it means. Do I not keep my house clean? Is the school not clean? There's a lot of false assumptions about this issue. And I think that's where our big role should be, to educate the public, not say we should change our policy and go against the Centers for Disease Control and the American Academy of Family Physicians and the American Academy of Pediatrics because the public believes something that's not true. So I think we should make our policies in line with the healthcare bodies in our country, and then try and educate our population about why that is, as opposed to saying, well, we have a lot of misconceptions and therefore we're going to use a policy that goes against national standards. And I think, kind of going back to what other schools are doing, I don't think that should be the standard. If other schools have outdated policies, that doesn't mean we should jump on that bandwagon.
Well, I think I'm hearing in consensus maybe that Dr. Cotton, that your staff do a little bit of research, come up with some kind of proposal to either keep what we have or to amend what we have, because that is a current policy, so it will require board action.
Yes, currently, as it pertains to lice, we have a no-dip policy. But it sounds like, as I was listening to Dr. Stanley, I was talking about ringworm as well, and
I think we should have a policy in place that involves identification, notification of parents, and providing resources and information. So it's not something I'm saying we should ignore, but I think our role should be to recognize, send information home, possibly get a signature or something back from parents saying, yes, I received this information and have initiated treatment. But I think identification and education is a better role for us than sending students home and not allowing them to return, especially since nobody in the medical community says that's the right thing to do.
Dr. Stumble mentioned parents' responsibility. From all my years in the school system, some of the same parents are irresponsible or guardian parents or whatever. Now, Mr. Lyle, we need to, these repeat offenders and stuff, we need to hold these parents responsible so they can do their job. So be on the lookout, anything we can do to make the parents more responsible.
So maybe sometime within the upcoming board meetings, somebody, we could have some additional information in terms of proposals to change it, to upgrade, or to keep what we have, and we can look at that, take action one way or the other on it then.
we could do that. If that's what the board would like us to do, we can come back at the next, I don't know if we can do it by the next meeting. It might be the research on policies and recommendations at that time.
I think it's not something we should rush into. I think we should take the necessary time to properly review it. It's just like we approved policy changes, otherwise we took 2 readings, so we took time to do this, so we can all look at it objectively.
I think that's kind of the action that we're looking for. Other matters from the board? You have information in your agenda regarding upcoming meetings and events. I'm going to go into all of those. You have them listed there. If you plan to attend any of those conferences, you need to make sure that Mrs. Ogilvy knows that you have been registered. Do remember, of course, September 16th, we're going to have an opportunity to tour the new updates to the 4-year tech program, and also the Butler School. Item 10 on our agenda is scheduled for a work session, but I believe we have nothing specific for that tonight. So we'll move on to item 11, closed session. So this time I'll entertain motions to go into closed session in accordance with section 2.2, -3711, Plan A, Plan 1. Same section, Plan A, Plan 2, Code of Virginia for Student Matters, same section, Plan A, Plan 7, Code of Virginia for Legal Matters. Do we have a motion to proceed to closed session? Moved and seconded to proceed into closed session. Those in favor of this motion, signify by raising